Hi, dear students. Welcome back to another session of Human Resource Management. This is the session of 58 that I am going to discuss on the topic approaches of performance appraisal. So there are many approaches which will always interlink with the performance appraisal when the organization are going to evaluate performance appraisal of that employee who is recruited and then who is selected in that company or in that organization. There are many approaches they are following, and also they followed in the previous years, of course. See, this is how things could be while we are going to discuss the approaches of performance appraisal. Before I am going to discuss the now what do you call the four main important approaches of performance appraisal, let's move on to discuss that what it is all about performance appraisal relating to the R, which will always interlink with performance appraisal. The performance appraisal, we know that it is the process of evaluation of an employee at higher levels in order to know whether the selection of an employee is right or wrong. A performance appraisal is resorted to promotion, transfer, salary increase, etc. are some of the matters that are dependent upon the evaluation of the performance of an employee. Appraisal of an employee reveals as to how efficiently the subordinate is performing his job, and also to know his aptitudes and other qualities nearly necessary for performing the job which are assigned to him. The qualities of the employees that are appraised through performance appraisal are ability to do work, spirit of cooperation, and also which is always interlinked with managerial ability, which will always cope up with self-confidence, initiatives, and then intelligence. Performance appraisal is regarded as the most significant tool of success of any concern, particularly concerning of the effectiveness of the organization, concerning of the level of production, concerning of the growth of that organization, concerning of the expansion of that organization, concerning of the employer development, concerning of the employee. Altogether, all these issues are included while we are going to signify the performance appraisal as a tool of the success. There are many issues which will always reflect as an objective, which will always improve the efficiency of concern by mobilizing the best possible efforts from individual employed in it. See, this is way in which performance is resorted only for to have promotion, transfer, salary, and also in regard to the monetary benefit. Particularly, I am talking about incentives. In some matters, the performance appraisal will always evaluate the what do you call the performance of that employee, whether that employee is giving contribution or good contribution or good performance towards the organization. Altogether, we are going to discuss in this matter. There are four approaches of performance appraisal that I mentioned by using many sources of reference in my study. George Oderine has identified four basic approaches to the performance appraisal. Namely, approach number one is personality based system. Approach number two is generalized descriptive systems. Approach number three is behavioral descriptive systems. Approach number four is result-centered system. So these are all the four important approaches where an organization are going to use by evaluating the performance appraisal of that employee. Let's discuss in detail that what it is all about particularly. Number one is personality-based system. Here the appraisal system takes into consideration of a list of personality traits that presumably are significant in the jobs of the individuals to be appraised. Such traits include those of initiatives, drive, intelligence, ingenuity, and then creativity, and also loyalty and trustworthiness, etc. Personality based system approach should always be considered in the performance appraisal, because if having the good knowledge and then skill of that employee, which will always relates to the give more good performance to the organization, either it may be the service employee, or he may be the new employee to that company, he will rendered his service on the basis of the satisfaction of the job, where which will be the appraisal of the individual, which is presumably significantly. Appraisal systems takes place into the consideration of the list of personality, where it is a resumes of the while the considering the fact of the initiatives, and then intelligence, ingenuity, creativity, loyalty, and trustworthiness are to be considered. See, initiatives and then intelligence are one where altogether we have to be considered, because that employee must always initiative by doing the work in his workplace according to the assigned workforce from that organization to that employee. Personality based system, then only it will have the good quantum of result positively that organization will get when we are going to have the performance appraisal, which is purely based on this personality. Personality is one, the it will always carries what do you call the level of thinking, and then the behavioral aspect, as well as the attitude, the aspect. Altogether we will consider these issues when you are going to the what do you call on the basis of personality system, if you are going to consider one of the best approach of that performance appraisal. So this is how things could be relating to the personality based system, which is the objective one, which is always not subjective as far as an evaluation of performance appraisal are concerned, particularly while evaluating the performance appraisal of that employee. This is what George Odiorne considers the best way in which all the organization must follow the one of the best approaches of performance appraisal. Let's moving on to the approach 2, that is generalized descriptive systems. Generalized descriptive system include qualities or actions of presumably good performers, where these are all they described in terms of the qualities of good performers. Regarding to what extent appraisers can organize, plan, control, motivate, delegate, or communicate and make things happen, it could be more generalized descriptive system, where the evaluation of that performance appraisal altogether we will consider. See, the thing is, when we are going to have the qualities aspect, then the action aspect, then the good performance of that what do you call that employee will be generalized aspect are to be described, particularly to the good performer. See, in the good form, good performer is always having its own qualities by having extent of organize, plan, control, motivate, delegate, communicate, and make things happen. See, organize the plan is not a easy one in the organization, because altogether, which is the consist of the opinion of all the employees, where human resource manager is going to have a little bit of the planning, that is what we are calling in the human resource planning, particularly we discussed it in the chapter 2. So organizing the plan that while we what do you call control that momentum of the what do you call generalizing the issue altogether with the that human what do you call the employee, I don't think so there could be disappearance or what you call misappropriation should be taken by the good performer. Good performer is one where he is always carries with motivation to the other employees. So motivation is also one type of the generalized descriptive system which we will consider. So good performance is performer is always motivate to the other employee, that taking into consideration of the level of performance and then level of production where that is going to make it out in that company. Communicate and then delegate are such things that where the many issues are always relating to the qualities, and also which will extend to the what do you call actions of that issue for that matter. So this is the second best approach of performance appraisal, while suggested by George Odorne for the considering while evaluating the performance appraisal. Number three is number the three approaches of performance appraisal is behavioral descriptive system. This behavioral descriptive system is always a feature detailed job analysis, job description, including specific statement of the actual behaviors required from the successful employee. So this is one of the finest approaches of the performance appraisal, where we want to discuss in detail about this, because as far as the job designing and then job analysis and then design are concerned, I discuss more on this topic particularly in the chapter 3, that the job analysis will consist of two factors, that is job description and then job specification. Job description is one that where the what type of the nature and the scope evolved by that job, and then specification is one that these types of qualified person, these types of aged person, these types of experienced person, these types of technical and then educational qualification must be required. Like that they are going to featured the specific statements of the behavior which will required in the form of successful employees. So behavioral descriptive system will always represent the issues which will always relating to the performance appraisal. Basically, once we are going to discuss the approaches of performance appraisal, behavioral aspect should altogether we will consider, particularly not only to the employee and also for the employer as well. Because if the behavior is not going to be balanced from that employee, I don't think so that there is a good number of the production shall be taken place, or the good quantum of the qualities of products are produced from that company or from that organization. Either it may be situated in the public sector or it may be in the private sector. So this is what the behavioral descriptive system will be supporting to evaluate the performance appraisal, and making the performance appraisal, or while we are evaluating the performance appraisal, these types of behavioral descriptive what do you call consider one of the system which we are going to evaluate the what do you call the employee who is working in that organization. The fourth approach of the performance appraisal is result-centered system. This appraisal quite obviously included work-centered and also job-centered system, are directly to the job related. They require that manager and then subordinate sit down at the start of each work evaluation period, and which will determine the work to be done in all areas of responsibility and functions, and the specific standards of performance to be used in each area. See, this one of the best approaches of performance appraisal is result-centered system. See, this is anywhere in the country, either it may be in the abroad. If these types of result-centered system are to be fully equipped in the performance appraisal, then it should be what do you call a good performance appraisal may appears from that employee, which will result a good performance and then effectiveness there in the organization. Work-centered and also job-centered systems are altogether we will consider under result-centered system, which is always directly interlinked with each other. That is work-centered and then job-centered systems. Say for example, if it is job-centered, then the level of work should be calculated. If it is work-centered, and also there could be the quality of work should be considered. Altogether, what is called result-centered system requires that manager and then subordinates sit down at the start of each work evaluation period, where which will determine the work to be done in all areas of responsibilities and the functions in which the specific standard of performance to be used in each area, each branch, and in each department of human resource, where the existence of that is what you call a human resource, particularly in that management or in that organization, either it may be in public sector or it may be in the private sector. So with this, dear students, I will stop here. This is the elaborate that I am taking one or two slide, and then I am explaining many issues by giving example. It is furthermore which will helps to you people also. So this is what four approaches which is suggested by George Odiorne. Particularly approach number one is personality based system. Number two is generalized descriptive system. Number three is behavioral descriptive system. Number fourth one is result-centered system. These are all the four approaches of performance appraisal which is suggested by George Odiorne. So this is how things could be, particularly in regarding to the the approaches of performance appraisal are concerned. With this, dear students, I will stop here. Obviously, in the last there is a the manager and then subordinate sit down together and then make it work evaluation period, which will determine the work to be done in all areas of responsibility, which will function smoothly in the organization. That is what all the chief executive officer and also managing director and also the human resource manager are expecting from the employee. If this is the work-centered and then job-centered system of these approaches altogether they are maintaining, then the standard of performance is always increased. This is what the last slide that where I come up with. So I collected many important aspects, particularly from these references. I also taken this is consider these are all the source of reference for my study material, and also to for multi-choice questions, and also to prepare PowerPoint presentations. So these are all the the references. Once again, I want to recall the approaches of performance appraisal. Number one is personality based system. Number two is generalized descriptive system. Number three is behavioral descriptive system, and then last one is result centered system. Dear students, with this I will stop here. I will come up with a new session in the with the new topic. With this, please follow these types of sources for your further to get more knowledge. References are Ashwatthappa A. who wrote Human Resource Management. Second one is Edwin B. Filippo, Principles of Personal Management. Number three is Gary Dessler and Biju Varki, Human Resource Management. George Bolander and then Scott Snell, Human Resource Management. Memoria CB and then Gaugankar SV, Human Resource Management. Last one is a wonderful book for the purpose of the to get knowledge from the point of view of students. I am telling Subbarao, who wrote Essential of Human Resource Management and Industrial Relations, that how it could be helped to get more knowledge for the purpose of examination, and also for the purpose of to collect more details. With this, dear students, I will stop here. Once again, I will come up with a new topic in the new session. So I will say bye. Okay. Be safe and also stay safe with this. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you very much, dear students.